Oh, sure, there it is. We'll get a 4K. Doesn't mean I didn't, you know, my airline didn't recede more than my opponents when I'm supposed to be the power roll, but it is what it is at the end of the day, you know, dead horse. There you go. Wouldn't complain half as much, boys, if the game wasn't stacked against me at every instance of it. GG's, mate. We're awesome. Do you love to see that? Toxic until proven innocent. Who are you? Deleter, the one we moried, proven innocent. There you go. Party streamers as well. Beautiful. The enemy are nobody, boys. All I want is a horror-based ASIM that is balanced appropriately and designed properly. That's all it is. As soon as we get to that, which we won't in this timeline with the fucking current state of development of this game, I'd be just as I am when I'm playing Evolve. Just going through the motions, playing the game, you know? When they respect you as the power role and the whole actual idea of your existence as anything that isn't an S-tier killer isn't a complete fucking joke, you know? So it is what it is. The general basis of it is, as the one in an ASIM, fellas, I should not be expending triple the amount of IQ points to best my opponent in a game where I'm supposed to be the power role, where everybody avoids me, you know? Where they can just run into you, get iframes, they can throw grenades at you, they can fucking sabotage your hooks, all this kind of shit. No. It's not how you do an ASIM at the end of the day. It just isn't. It's a reverse ASIM in that instance, for some killers anyway that are quite low tier, like Doc is, because I do think he's low tier. His anti-loop is just absolutely trash, unless it's in a very situational place where you block them from pallets and at shack, I suppose. Because you basically, it's like, I don't know who dropped a shack pallet, what I said, where you're basically slowing yourself down around a lap of the shack for several rotations to buy yourself the shack pallet by stopping them from going for the window, you know? The best way to probably run it is from the side where you send them around shack pallet first, and then the window's like to the right, which is what I've sort of self-taught right now, where you basically try to squeeze both the pallet and the window in that 2.5 second time frame, but even then you have to perfectly time that shit to the point where they're actually not quite within the window to grab the pallet, but they're not too far away that 2.5 seconds doesn't mean anything for the window. So you need to sort of be in a very, like, literal fucking needle thin timing of it to block both pallet and window. But it's just, it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze, because literally any other killer can, like, you just mind game it, red glow mind game it, you know, rather than jumping through the oops of trying to perfectly time shocks and shit like that. But I've said it before anyway. He shouldn't slow down whilst channeling it. He just shouldn't. He shouldn't slow down, because if he's timing it right at loops, then you should get punished for it and all that kind of stuff. Because if you pre-drop against this killer, he can't fucking do anything. He's got no power against pre-dropping, unless it's a choke point pallet, and then you try and loop him around it. But at that point, again, that's your error as the survivor. So he should get you in that instance. You know. You just pre-drop against this killer. That's all you do. Pre-drop, drop the pallet, and then just keep moving. Even better if it's God pallet, because then he has to break it, and it puts him miles behind. He's got no traversal. He's got no means of catching up. He's basically, he's just an M1, he's a 115 killer that has no form of catching up to anybody. And he's only one person on the map. His map pressure's fucking placebo, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen after multiple games. Because Madness 3 doesn't even do anything against decent survivors, because the skill checks just, it don't mean anything. Well, the Madness mechanic, I should say. Madness 3 is the one where it locks you out from doing it. That's quite good, but it's too easy to remove. But again, it's like, it goes back to Release Doc, where there was loads of fucking shit you could do with him that was really, like, oppressive, but that's how he fucking should be, you know? I'm sick of fucking Blight and Nurse being the only two viable fucking killers, dude. It's so fucking boring. Like, if they made, like, a giga form of every sort of other low-tier killer, you know, make his electricity map wide like it used to be, you know, where he'd switch into his madness stance. Obviously, don't bring the fucking stance switching shit back. Now, I say I played this game in 2017 and all that kind of shit right from the very beginning. If you don't know about Doc's stance shifting, don't fucking dare try to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, mate, because that's an ancient mechanic right there. When Doc was released, he had a stance shift, he had treatment and punishment, I believe it was called, where you'd switch between. So in his treatment stance, I might get these mixed up, it was just his fist. He didn't have his weapon out. You had his fist on the screen, and he had like a little. It was like a place around him, and I think his add-ons used to be able to extend it. Where if you stood within that electrical field that was around him while he had his fist clenched in the treatment thing, over the time you'd passively gain madness. And it was really strong the closer you went to him. So basically you use treatment to farm it in chase by just following him around and keeping the electricity on him, that kind of stuff. But if they do that shit sort of at a broader sense without the stand shifting, where it's like the closer you get to this killer, as the terror radiuses would imply for all killers, they get more intense. The closer you get to the killer that is designed around the literal mechanic of fucking madness, right? So the closer you get to him, the more mad you get, because you are getting closer to this fucking deranged individual, you know, that kind of shit. And then you can farm people up to Madness 3 just by being near you, rather than going for all the perfectly timed shocks and shit like that. Obviously, they won't do stuff like this anyway, because you can't have shit like this in a player base of wet flannels like this game's got, because it wouldn't last 2 minutes. They'd be fucking whining constantly about, oh, I'm always in Madness 3, I can't do generators, and all this kind of shit, you know, despite that being his only method, because I'm saying in the same breath, remove his shock, you know. I don't know, maybe not remove his shock, but make his shock not as strong as what it is, or what it would be now if that was his mechanic. So make it used for something else, I don't know. Or, yeah, maybe make his shock apply a slight hindered thing to it, you know. Or even, if you want to get even fucking zanier in this instance, and a bit of meme and comically, because this would fit the madness trope, give his shock the ability to invert the survivor's controls for 2 or 3 seconds. So it's actual madness. You get your controls basically flipped on their head at that moment. You can still play around this if you play against most doctors, because as soon as you get shocked, you just position your fingers the opposite of which way you were there, and then play it like that for a couple of seconds, you know. Otherwise, your controls go all wank, and you're like, fucking hell, shit, where am I? You know, all that kind of stuff. It's flavourful, you know. But again, they won't do it, because we can't have fun in this game. We can't experiment with killers, because as soon as something strong comes along, we fucking whine en masse, and nothing ever gets any traction. You get it released, behaviour grabs all the fucking money. It's like the ghoul situation now. The ghoul nerfs aren't over. Not a fucking chance of the over. Skull Merchant was in this game. Release Skull Merchant, and she was fucking nerfed. You know? A literal fucking C-tier killer at best. Throughout her entire existence. But because Twitter didn't like her, she fucking literally got deleted. You know? They literally just nerfed her to the point where she can't even be playable against most teams that have got a fucking single IQ point. You know? It's the player base and the complete lack of, like, drive and just ambition from behaviour that holds this game back, dude. It really is. We could have had so many fucking interesting versions of the killers we've got at the moment, but they won't do it. Because the minute anything gets strong, the minute anything comes along, fuck it. Get rid of it. I can't play against this. It's my first game playing against this. I'm going to do shit. You know, obviously, everybody's going to do shit. Nah, nerf it. Don't want to learn how to play against it. Don't want to adapt. I want me Twitch content, you know. Let me just run it around. All the fucking gens popping and all that kind of shit. Make it fucking trivial for me. There it is, you know. Fuck the horror style of things. Fuck the atmosphere. I just need my easy wins, you know. I'm really surprised they haven't done something with Nurse or Blight, to be honest, but I'm supposed at this point it's the status quo that them two are just going to be at the top forever, despite having... I mean, Nurse for me is quite interesting, because I do find her quite fun to go for accurate blinks when I play as her. I like to blink directly on top of people if I can, because it's dead satisfying to do it. But other than that, Blight I go through phases with, but for the majority of the time I find Blight very boring to play. Like he's just pinballing off shit. If you get an indoor map, you're fucked. I don't like killers, and I'm basically an ex-Singularity main as well. But I've said I don't like killers that are fucked by certain maps, like indoor maps. Because there's always a chance that map's going to come along like that, and it's like, oh gee, guess I don't get to play this one. You know? Like, even Doc's home map of Leary's, Doc is fucking terrible on Leary's. Because of the amount of windows and readily available pallets that are there. You legit cannot walk 2 feet without having to shock. And when he's getting slowed down whilst doing the shock, you're never going to get anybody. Because you'll shock them, they'll get that little distance that you get after you slow down from you, and then they'll already be at another window and pallet. So then you have to shock them again, but you get slowed down again. So it's the same shit over and over and over again, unless you just don't use his power. So then why does his power exist? You know? There's so many like killers like Doc, Plague, a lesser extent Clown. Clown's a bit of a weird case, like, because Clown's good against new players, but he falls off once you get to like MMR because he's just basically an M1 killer with a slight speed increase, which they have actually just nerfed in the previous patch, which everybody disliked, by the way, because apparently going for unique builds by stacking haste and just trying to have a bit of fun in the game is illegal in Behavior's design space. Pig, to a certain example, obviously she's licensed, so she's a bit of a special case. They can't really touch her in certain ways, but if they made tweaks where they basically brought every killer up to a stronger pacing while still keeping the same design, it'd be a lot more fucking interesting to play them and to play against them. Obviously, if you're not just a fucking windbag who's complaining about literally everything, like a lot of survivors do. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Like, this killer could get away with some serious buffs and still be IB tier, low A tier at the moment. Because the idea of slowing down to shock people and running around a pallet 6 extra times than any other killer, no, what's the point? You know? It's a thought dump anyway. I might have to stick some gameplay over that, but it is what it is. There you go. See you on the next one.